And I think a lot of people who are in the situation where they have an abusive relationship and they are caring for others, it's hard to name it because there's so much going on and there's so many things that need to fall in place. And even planning and trying to find the right way to do it and doing it safely so that if they were to walk in and you were talking to someone about leaving, that you had a safety space word so that they knew that they'd walked in without it being super obvious that you're changing the tone or direction of the conversation. And I think women or men who are in a relationship where domestic violence is rife, they can't voice it. It's embarrassing. How can I have let this happen? How do I let somebody treat me like this? And unless you're in the thick of it and you've lived it or you're experiencing it, it's hard to name it. It's hard to acknowledge it. It's hard to go, I made a mistake. This is not right. I need to make a massive change. And it's scary because it follows you afterwards. If you have children and that person is still alive and they're still able to continue the abuse after separation, it is.
And they always do. I mean, it's not as if you leave and they just say, okay, well, I'm glad that we're not together and I don't need to control you anymore.
No, that's not how that happens at all.
In fact, they will use your child to make your life miserable. And the more you try and make things okay, the more they work hard overtime to sabotage it.
100%.
So you're always on defense, always on defense. I remember after 3 years and being told I couldn't get sole custody and, being called a drug addict and an alcoholic, all the things that he was. I remember one day I just said, I'm not playing defense anymore. I'm striking first. And it was terrifying. And I still sometimes sit back and think, I can't believe I actually did that. But I went to the court and I asked for an order of protection. Even it coming out of my mouth, I thought, is he really going to come hurt you? You're asking yourself, do you really want to make it this big of a deal? Do you really want to make this public? Do you really want to expose what you've put up with, what you've done, what's going on behind closed doors, what you've subjected your children to? Do you want to make that public? And so it's like somebody is holding you ransom for your behaviors or what's going on. Or do you, if you tell someone, you're not only telling on them, you're telling on yourself.
Well, that's right. And a lot of experiences here is that you don't have bruises.
How are you going to prove it? In fact, you look like the aggressor. I looked like the aggressor because all it took was one trigger word toward the end for me to just explode. And from the outside, because you're forced to hand over text messages, I will read some of my text messages and think, what on earth was I thinking? That doesn't sound like me. Why would I do that? Why would I beg? Why would I kick out, then beg back? What was going through my mind that is a rational way? But it wasn't. But here it's exposed to the entire world. And how are you going to explain that unless you have to admit, I'm crazy. I clearly am crazy. But they don't know why you end up crazy.